Hey friends, it's Allie with Allie's Boutique, and today I'm going to show you how I created my Pottery Barn dupe Nutcracker. So if you've seen these floating across your feeds, these beautiful wooden aged Nutcrackers from Pottery Barn, and I think Crate and Barrel might have something similar, but they've got this beautiful aged look to them. But those suckers are, I think, $138 a pair, and they're like $79 each. So mine I got from Hobby Lobby. You can see they're priced at $9.99, but I think right now they're 60% off. I know online they're sold out, but you can usually go to your local store and find them, and they'll be in stock. They'll say check your local store for availability. So I'm going to snip these little tags off. I got two. They only had two styles at my store. They had the little drummer, and they had the one with the, I guess they're calling it a spike. But so I got two, and I have one from last year. I don't know what that one is, but I painted it and aged it. So it's going to have like a white, it'll look a little different. But now this little guy, I broke his nose. And so I was testing a couple of things out. So you can get this pretty aged stain look, obviously, with any old stain. I chose an English walnut by a Maker Studio because it has the color that I like. However, that is going to be this little piece right here. That's going to be the stain. I also tried just on the bare wood this Annie Sloan soft wax in dark, and I got this beautiful look, which just looks like the wood has just aged over time, and it looks, you know, natural and vintage or antique. So in choosing how I wanted to do this, I think I'm going to do one with the stain and one with the wax, but I just wanted to try it out on the little guy because, see, I broke his nose. Oh no. All right, so let's do one together. Let's do, I think I've already sanded down this one. So one thing you want to be sure to check, because they're inexpensive, they're made and mass produced. A lot of times where they've glued the pieces together, like this one, and I hope the camera will pick it up, but you can kind of see that glue right there, glue near his nose. And you want to sand that off, because if you don't and you use stain, that stain will not soak in where that glue is. So I just kind of quickly looked him over. If we find that there's a spot that I missed, I took a little sandpaper and sanded it. But if we find a spot that we've missed, we'll go back when he's dry and fix it. So right now I'm going to put up my wax. We'll do that one on another one. And we will just coat him with some stain. And then what I do, let's start at the bottom. I'm really bad about skipping around. That's how I paint walls. Everything, I'll start in one section and then I'll skip around to the next. So let's see if I can focus and stay in order, like go from top to bottom or bottom to top. I'm going top to, or bottom to top. And a lot of times, if you're like me and you skip around and you can't stay focused, I'll pick up a magazine and start from the back. I don't know why. Just, so we'll start from the bottom. So then I'm just going to take a paper towel. You can see where that wood was cut. It really soaks in. So you're going to get some variation of color, richness, because of the cuts of the wood, which is great. I like it. But you can also sand it back a little bit if you want. Let's see. This is a super easy project. I mean, you'll have a piece of decor finished within minutes, literally. Because there's nothing to it. You just stain or wax and let it dry, and then put it where you want it in your decor. Now this stain that I'm using by a Maker's Studio, actually it's Amy Howard at Home. She also makes a line called a Maker's Studio. But this stain is one of my absolute favorites. I love it. I love the coverage. I love that it's water soluble. Low VOC. Excellent product. So I'm being careful to get in the little grooves down there. And I'm just probably being more particular than I normally would, but I do want to get some good coverage for my little Nutcracker. If you feel that you've gotten it too dark, you can also, if you don't, I would suggest sanding it back a little bit, but you could also use a little bit of mineral spirits, and that would remove some of that color. So look how beautiful that's already looking. It looks aged, it looks gorgeous. And I'm just dipping into my lid actually. And then we're gonna just keep moving. I'm doing good so far, guys. I'm going from the bottom up. Like I said, I'm bad about skipping around. Like by now I would have already moved on up to his head and painted his head and then gone back to his drum. And you can kind of see where that glue, even though I sanded it, it still doesn't take the stain, but we might be able to fix that with a little watered down paint. I might be able to fix that with some of the wax. I don't know. Let's see. That's good that these things happen on video, because it's good to figure out how to fix them so that when you're doing your project and you run across that problem, you'll know how to fix it. And sometimes you may just like that aged or the irregularity or the beautiful natural defects of it. They're not defects, they're character. That's what it is. So the reason, I might not have mentioned this, but I'm using an old beat up brush that the bristles are all frayed. And the reason I'm doing that is because you want to get down in these little cracks and crevices since he's already assembled. And it's easier to do so when you can just push those bristles down in there, not worry about ruining a good brush. But what I do love, like I said about this, is it's water soluble, so this just cleans up with soap and water. I don't have to worry about it. But I do want to be sure that I don't miss any little spots. See, he's looking pretty good, huh? Okay, now I'm going to get a fresh paper towel and wipe off the excess. Let that stain soak in. And like I said, when he's good and dry, we can, if I want to soften him up a bit, age him, we can sand him down, which I'll show you in a bit, but we're going to let him dry. It looks pretty good so far. See one little spot right there that didn't quite take that stain, but when we sand them it might. All right, so the next way that we're going to stain or age and create the Pottery Barn Nutcracker dupe is we are going to use our dark wax, our Annie Sloan dark wax. So this one, super easy. I do probably want to sand just a bit where that glue is. I noticed there was a little right around his head, but usually it's where every piece that they glue together, you're going to see that. All right, so I'm just going to take this wax and we're just going to start waxing it on our Nutcracker. And I really do like the look of the wax, but I wanted to show you two ways that you can do it. So that way, if you don't have stain on hand, you can do it with wax. Any dark, I believe any dark antiquing wax will do. I really only use, the only waxes I've used are Dixie Belle and Annie Sloan. But I know a lot of people, there's a Waverly antiquing wax out there that I think you can get at Walmart that a lot of people love. So I'm sure that would probably work as well. And I'm being pretty generous with the wax. I'm going to be sure I get in all the nooks and crannies. And then I'm going to take a paper towel or a soft cloth, and then you can wipe back your wax a bit. And then there you go. Look how pretty that is. I really love this wax. So I'm going to finish this little guy up and just do the same thing like I did with the stain. Make sure I'm getting all the cracks and crevices. And then wiping them down. And for this application, I am just using an old beat up chip brush. It's well loved. And I actually keep this in a little baggie and just use it every time I want to use this dark wax on a quick little project. So I don't even wash this one out. But with this Annie Sloan wax, I believe you need to use mineral spirits to clean it. All right, now we're gonna go, we went top to bottom on this one instead of bottom to top. This one's gone a little bit faster. And obviously it's not quite as messy as the stain. Here is this one. So I'm actually thinking, I don't know which one I like better. They do have a different look. I believe this one with the dark wax, the Annie Sloan dark wax, looks more like the inspiration from Pottery Barn. I think I'm going to sand this one back just a bit, and then I will show you the finished project. But this one is done with Annie Sloan dark wax. This one is done with Amy Howard at Home English Walnut Stain. I believe that's English Walnut. Let me check. Yes. And you are going to get the same whether you use stain or the wax. You'll get a very similar look to the Pottery Barn Nutcrackers that are $138. Now I might not have said it earlier in the video, but while these were $9.99, they were 60% off at Hobby Lobby. The websites are saying that they're sold out, and to check your inventory in your store. I'm sure you'll probably find some. I don't know how many you'll find, but I'm sure you'll find some. And they are about 12 inches tall, about a foot tall. The ones at Pottery Barn are 14 and 19, so they're a good bit taller and larger than these, just FYI. But for my purposes, I think these little guys are perfect, and I will show you a side-by-side and my finished decor in place.